Welcome back to The Deep Dive, where we transform complex information into clear, engaging insights.
Hi, everyone.
Have you ever found yourself wondering how an entire fictional universe, with all its layered stories across manga, films, spin-offs, how it actually fits together?
Yeah, it can get complicated fast.
Today, we're taking an incredible deep dive into the world of My Hero Academia. It's a universe absolutely brimming with superpowered heroes, terrifying villains, and a really rich, evolving history that stretches back for generations.
That's right. Our mission today is, well, to meticulously reconstruct a singular, definitive chronological history of this universe.
So not just hitting the highlights.
No, we're going beyond just the main manga. We're
Yeah.
drawing from every officially recognized canonical material from the foundational comics, the theatrical films, the essential prequel series, light novels, and even the official data books.
Okay, the whole shebang.
Exactly. You'll get the full story, understand how every piece perfectly interlocks, and maybe uncover some truly surprising facts about what it means to build and then, well, break a heroic society in this world.
So whether you're a longtime fan looking for, ultimate clarity on the timeline, or maybe someone just curious about how a modern epic is skillfully constructed across different media, you're in for a real treat.
We hope so.
We're going to trace this entire saga from the dawn of Quirks, that glowing baby in China, all the way to the future of heroism itself. It's a journey that really reveals just how much thought goes into crafting a truly immersive fictional world. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Right, before we jump into the very first quirk, kind of have to set our ground rules. With a universe this vast, what exactly are we considering real or canonical for our deep dive today? Because there's a lot of material out there.
That's the critical first step, absolutely. For My Hero Academia, the creators, particularly Horikoshi, have given us pretty clear criteria. You're looking for direct involvement or supervision from Horikoshi himself, narrative consistency with the primary manga that's key, and crucially explicit cross-media references, things that actually bind these different stories into one cohesive whole.
So it's not just about, if it has the official logo on it.
Not entirely, no. It's about what genuinely integrates with the main storyline and directly impacts its progression, its characters, its world.
Gotcha. So what's at the absolute core of this canonical universe?
Yeah.
The starting point.
The primary pillar, without question, is Horikoshi's original manga. That's the bedrock. But then we have elements that are maybe even more deeply interwoven than some fans might initially think.
Like what?
For example, the prequel manga, My Hero Academia, Delantes. It isn't just some side story you can skip. Honestly, it's an indispensable foundation.
Really? Indispensable.
I'd say so. It sets up crucial character backstories like Furuta Aizawa Eraserhead and even the villain Kurogiri. Plus, it's where we see the full origin of the hero killer, Stain. Without vigilantes, key motivations, and societal undercurrents in the main series just wouldn't land the same way. They'd lack vital context.
Wow. Okay. So Vigilantes is basically required reading, not just a bonus feature.
Mm.
What about the movies? They always feel like these big, bombastic, maybe standalone events.
That's a common perception, but actually the theatrical films Two Heroes, Heroes Rising, World Heroes Mission, and You're Next are all definitively canonical.
All of them. How does that work?
Well, Horikoshi had significant oversight. They're meticulously placed in specific timeline gaps within the main story. And importantly, they feature character introductions or technological advancements that actually become vital later in the manga.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Melissa Shields' full gauntlet from the first movie, Two Heroes. It's later referenced when Midoriya is getting new support gear designed in the manga. And characters originally from the films even appear, briefly, during the main story's final arc in, a global broadcast scene.
Whoa. Okay, so they're not just parallel stories. They actively build out the narrative.
Exactly. They actively build the world and the story. And similarly, you've got the School Briefs light novels and the Team Up Missions manga. These offer, enriching character vignettes and add texture to the world without ever contradicting the core plot.
More like flavor text, but still fits.
Kind of, yeah. And for definitive lore, the official databooks, Ultra Archive, Ultra Analysis, and Ultra Age, they act as encyclopedic references. They give confirmed character details, stats, and importantly, Ultra Age provides crucial epilogue information about what happens after the main manga concludes.
This level of detail, this meticulous integration, it really tells us the creators had a master plan from pretty early on. It's like a grand puzzle where every piece, even the spin-offs and films, is designed to fit perfectly.
That's a great way to put it.
It means every story we discuss today genuinely contributes to the big picture and this incredible tapestry of the My Hero universe.
Precisely. Every piece matters to the final image.
Okay, with our canon firmly established, let's go back, way back, to the absolute beginning. Our story truly begins not with heroes or villains as we know them, but with a single astonishing event in King, China.
Right. The spark.
In a world just like ours, suddenly a baby was born,
Oh.
emitting light from its body, just glowing. This was the very first publicly documented quirk.
And it wasn't just some, medical anomaly. It was a global catalyst. It shattered basically every societal structure humanity had built up to that point.
I can't even imagine the sheer chaos.
That's a powerful way to put it. The rapid, chaotic emergence of these meta-abilities, these quirks, led to immense turmoil. The existing world, our world, simply wasn't built for people who could fly or shoot fire or, turn invisible.
Everything would have to change. Laws, infrastructure.
Everything. Imagine the scale of that disruption. Every level of society, from law enforcement and military strategy to, city planning, even philosophy and ethics would be completely rewritten almost overnight. This single event fundamentally rewrote humanity's future.
And society immediately started grappling with the implications.
Right.
There must have been some profound scientific and philosophical responses pretty quickly.
Oh, definitely. And what's truly fascinating and kind of chilling is the early scientific response. The Quirk singularity doomsday theory.
The what now? That sounds ominous.
It is. Researchers quickly theorized that quirks wouldn't just emerge and stabilize. They believed quirks would continually merge and evolve across generations, becoming exponentially more complex and powerful.
Okay.
Until eventually they'd become too much for the human body to actually control, leading to, societal collapse. It wasn't just a scientific prediction. It planted the seed of existential dread right at the dawn of this new age. Like, humanity's greatest evolutionary leap might also be its undoing.
Wow. A built-in expiration date for humanity, potentially. So as this global chaos unfolds, Japan sees the emergence of a truly terrifying figure. Someone who would cast a shadow for centuries. Zen Shigaraki.
The big one, all for one.
He wielded the all-for-one quirk, this power allowing him to steal and bestow abilities at will. He effectively became a shadow ruler in the chaos.
And his choice of surname, Shigaraki, it's a deeply insightful detail. It wasn't his birth name. It came from a cruel nickname, Shigaraki Tanuki, given to his destitute mother.
Oh, that's dark.
By adopting it and twisting it into a symbol of absolute power, Zen Shigaraki performed his own first act of all for one, forcefully seizing a negative narrative and rebranding it through sheer will. It reveals a villainy rooted not just in a lust for power, but this fundamental compulsion to control and redefine reality itself, to impose his will even on identity. This pattern dictates his actions for centuries.
But he wasn't unopposed, right? Even with that overwhelming power.
No, he wasn't. Opposing him, initially quite weakly, was his younger brother, Yoichi Shigaraki, who everyone, including Yoichi himself, thought was quirkless.
Okay, so a powerless brother against the ultimate power thief.
Seems that way at first, but in a really cruel twist, All for One forcibly implanted a power stockpiling quirk into Yoichi. Maybe out of pity, maybe some twisted affection, maybe just an experiment.
He just gave his brother a quirk.
Forced it on him, yeah. But here's the kicker. Unbeknownst to either of them, Yoichi did have a latent quirk. A completely useless one on its own, apparently, whose only function was that it could be transferred to someone else.
Wait, so?
The two quirks merged. The stockpiling power All for One gave him merged with Yoichi's own transferable quirk. And that fusion created something entirely new. One for all.
One for all. The legendary power.
Exactly. A unique quirk that accumulated the strength and the latent quirk factors of each user, and crucially, could be willingly passed on, unlike All for One's theft.
So generational power, almost designed to fight a generational evil.
That's essentially what it became. Yoichi, the first user, frail as he was, managed to pass it on. He initiated this secret, multi-generational war against his seemingly immortal brother.
A secret war fought across time.
Right. A succession of users carried the torch. The second, the third, Hiko Shinomori was the fourth, Daigoro Banjo the fifth and the sixth, and Nanishimura the seventh, each adding their strength, their will, and eventually their own quirks to the core of One for All.
It's incredible. And you mentioned the creator intentionally kept some of their stories vague.
Yes, what's truly striking here is that Horikoshi intentionally withheld detailed backstories from many of these early inheritors. He was apparently inspired by films like Terminator 2, feeling that the unseen future war and its untold sacrifices were actually more powerful, left partly to the audience's imagination.
Huh. That's a fascinating creative choice.
It really is. It imbues One for All with this profound sense of myth, an unspoken history of countless desperate battles fought in the shadows. It leaves you pondering the sheer weight of their sacrifices against this overwhelming, undying evil.
So that brings us out of the deep past, the Genesis era, into a time closer to the main story. The seventh One for All holder, Nana Shimura, she makes a pivotal choice for her successor.
She does. She chooses a young, quirkless, but incredibly lion-hearted teenager named Toshinori Yagi. This is our future All Might.
Quirkless again, like the first brother almost.
There's definitely a parallel there. After inheriting OFA, Toshinori trained under Nena's own teacher, Gran Torino, and then went abroad to America. That's where he really honed his skills and developed his heroic persona. He also befriended the brilliant scientist David Shield and his young daughter, Melissa.
And this is where the All Might we know begins to form.
Absolutely. This period was crucial in shaping his public persona as All Might, a hero with that distinct, very American comic book-inspired style. He wasn't just a powerful hero, he was aiming to be a global symbol of peace, an icon. That bond with Melissa Shield, by the way, is detailed in a specific prequel manga chapter, cementing their connection early on.
But this rise to become the symbol, this golden age,
Right.
it came at a terrible hidden cost, didn't it?
A devastating one. Upon his return to Japan, All Might engaged in a climactic, clandestine battle with All for One. This wasn't their first encounter, but it was the big one that really shaped the modern world of the story.
The fight that changed everything.
Exactly. All Might emerged victorious, finally putting All for One down. Or so he thought. But the cost was catastrophic. He suffered grievous injuries, the loss of his stomach, damage to his respiratory system. It left that ghastly scar we see later and severely limited his ability to use One for All to just a few hours a day.
And All for One.
He also survived, though gravely wounded himself, and was forced into hiding, clinging to life support. So this battle, while it seemingly secured All Might's place as the undisputed symbol of peace and ushered in an era of relative calm.
It simultaneously set him on this desperate, secret search for a worthy successor.
Precisely. It created this illusion of unwavering peace, of an invincible hero while hiding a ticking time bomb at its core. His power was finite, fading.
Now, you might think All Might's golden age, this time when crime rates supposedly plummeted, was a perfect utopia. But you mentioned the prequel manga, My Hero Academia. Vigilantes paints a different picture. It reveals a much more nuanced, maybe even darker truth about those years right before the main story kicks off.
Oh, absolutely. Vigilantes is crucial here. It pulls back the curtain. While All Might's overwhelming presence did keep the truly catastrophic, world-ending threats at bay, the manga brilliantly illustrates how systemic flaws were festering beneath the surface.
Systemic flaws? Like what?
Things like hero agency, bureaucracy, heroes more interested in fame and rankings than actual protection, regulatory constraints that hindered effective action. Vigilante shows that All Might's singular dominance inadvertently created a societal dependency. Everyone relied on him.
So other parts of the hero infrastructure kind of atrophied.
Exactly. They didn't need to be as robust because All Might was always there to handle the biggest problems. This prequel acts as a critical deconstruction of the symbol of peace era. It shows how its very success, its reliance on one pillar, created the conditions for its later collapse when that pillar inevitably weakened. The problems Izuku Midoriya inherits aren't new. They're direct long-term consequences.
Can you give us an example from Vigilantes that shows this dependency or these cracks?
Sure. A key storyline follows Koichi Himawari. He's just a college student with a minor sliding quirk who operates as an unlicensed vigilante called the Crawler. He teams up with Pop Step and the quirkless brawler Knuckle Duster, fighting stuff the pros overlook, like the distribution of Trigger, a dangerous quirk-enhancing drug.
Okay, so people falling through the cracks.
Right. And even more profoundly, it's in Vigilantes that we see the full, brutal origin of the hero killer, Stain. We meet him first as Stenhall, a different kind of vigilante. After a disillusioning confrontation, he radicalizes, mutilates his own face, and adopts the identity of Stain, driven by this violent ideology against false heroes who he thinks are just in it for money and fame.
Wow. So his origin is directly tied into this critique of the hero system that Vigilantes explores.
Precisely. It directly informs the character who later shakes hero society to its core in the main series. His motivations make so much more sense when you see where he came from.
That's incredible. And you mentioned it even gives us crucial backstory for one of our favorite UA teachers, Aizawa, Eraserhead.
Yes. Vigilantes gives us extensive backstory for Shota Aizawa. It details his UA student days, his close friendship with Oboro Shirakumo, and Shirakumo's tragic death during their work study.
Why is that so critical?
Because it's revealed much later in the main manga that Shirakumo's body was recovered by All for One and used to create Kurogiri, the League of Villains Warpgate user, and Shigaraki's caretaker.
No way. So Vigilantes laid the groundwork for that massive reveal years later.
Exactly. That piece of lore from the prequel directly informs Aizawa's intense motivations, his protective nature towards his students, and the devastating emotional stakes when Kurogiri's true identity is discovered. And the prequel manga culminates in the Naruhodo lockdown, a city-wide crisis orchestrated by All for One subordinate, number 6, starkly highlighting the vulnerabilities of a hero society that's become overly reliant on one single figure like All Might.
Man, it's fascinating. Vigilantes doesn't just fill in some gaps. It completely recontextualizes the world we thought we knew from the main series. It shows us that even during this supposed golden age of peace, there were these deep systemic issues brewing just beneath the surface.
Cracks in the foundation.
Yeah, issues that would later explode. It's such a crucial insight into why the world didn't just need a new symbol. It needed a fundamentally different approach to heroism altogether.
A more sustainable model, perhaps.
Right. Okay, now we arrive at the heart of our story, the moment the main timeline truly begins. We're introduced to Izuku Midoriya,
Our protagonist.
a boy born without a quirk in a world where, 80% of the population has one? His dream, against all odds, is to become a hero, like his idol, All Might, despite constant bullying, especially from his childhood friend, Katsuki Bakugo.
And his defining moment, the one that truly changes his life and sets everything in motion, comes when he sees Bakugo caught by the sludge villain. And Midoriya, Quirkless, absolutely terrified, just runs in, instinctively.
Yes, you think?
Exactly. This selfless, pure act of heroism, witnessed by a weakened All Might who is nearby, changed everything. And what's really striking is All Might's insight there. He recognizes that true heroism isn't just about having power, it's about the heart. It's about that instinct to help, even when you're powerless yourself.
Yeah.
He sees that spark in Midoriya.
And that's when All Might makes his choice. He reveals his incredible secret, the injury, the time limit, the nature of One for All, and chooses Midoriya as the 9th inheritor.
A monumental decision.
But it wasn't an instant power-up, was it? He couldn't just take the power.
Not at all. Midoriya's body wasn't ready, so he undergoes this grueling 10-month training regimen, personally designed and overseen by All Might. The main task, literally cleaning an entire beach that had become an illegal dumping ground. Mountains of trash.
Clean the beach training.
That's the one. And this training isn't just physical conditioning, though it certainly is that. It's deeply symbolic. It represents the immense weight, the generational responsibility, and the sheer hard work he's about to carry as the next bearer of One for All. He has to earn the right to wield it, not just inherit it passively. He has to become a worthy vessel.
So Midoriya just inherits One for All, like right before the UA high school entrance exam. Talk about pressure. And his journey into this elite hero academy immediately becomes a series of trials by fire. Getting the power was only the very first step.
Oh yeah, and those early trials test him immediately and brutally. During the practical entrance exam, he struggles immensely. He can't control the power. Every time he tries to use One for All, it shatters his limbs. It highlights the immense destructive potential of this quirk, if not handled properly.
So how does he even pass?
He passes by channeling everything into a single devastating smash, breaking his arm and legs in the process. But he does it to save another applicant, Ochako Uraraka, from a giant robot. He gets 0 villain points, but earns rescue points, demonstrating his inherent heroic potential even over self-preservation.
Right, the rescue points. That was key. And things don't get easier once he's in.
Not at all. Early exercises like the battle trial pit him directly against Bakugo. This immediately brings their complex, strained rivalry to the forefront. As Bakugo has to confront Midoriya's sudden, inexplicable surge in power, he's furious and confused.
Then the stakes are raised dramatically very early on with the first major villain attack.
Indeed, The League of Villains, led by Tamura Shigaraki, who we now know is connected to All for One and the Warp Gate user Kurogiri, make their public debut by attacking the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, or USJ, a training facility.
And their goal.
Their stated goal is to kill All Might. Class 1A, these first-year students, are thrust into their first real life-or-death battle against actual villains. It's terrifying. All Might eventually arrives, but is pushed to his absolute limit to defeat the bioengineered creature they brought, the Nomu. This encounter further drains his dwindling strength and ominously foreshadows how little time he has left as the symbol.
After surviving that, the UA Sports Festival becomes this huge global spectacle. But underneath the competition, it's really a crucible for character development, isn't it? Especially for Shoto Todoroki.
Absolutely. The sports festival is broadcast worldwide, putting these kids under immense pressure. And yes, it's particularly significant for Shoto Todoroki. During his intense match against Midoriya, he finally opens up, revealing the heartbreaking story of his abusive upbringing under his father, Endeavor, the #2 hero at the time, the forced Quirk marriage, the intense pressure, the isolation.
And Midoriya's reaction is pivotal.
It is. In a moment of pure empathy and, frankly, righteous anger, Midoriya screams at him during their fight. It's your power, not his. This emotional breakthrough, the chapter is even titled Shoto Todoroki. Origin inspires Todoroki to finally use his left side, his fire quirk inherited from Endeavor, for the first time in combat, willingly. It's a huge moment.
The festival ends with Bakugo winning the whole thing, but it feels off.
Yeah, his victory feels hollow, partly because Todoroki was so conflicted and didn't use his full power until the very end of their match, and didn't use it at all in the final against Bakugo. This just deepens Bakugo's already simmering feelings of inadequacy and frustration, especially regarding Midoriya's progress.
What we're seeing here, it feels like it's not just an accelerated hero education program.
Yeah.
It feels like a deliberate narrative strategy to rapidly deconstruct the idealized image of heroism these kids, and maybe the audience, started with.
That's a really sharp observation.
They're forced to confront brutal realities, villain attacks, deep personal trauma, the costs of power, before they're really ready. It feels like it's foreshadowing the eventual collapse of the symbol of peace era, showing why it was perhaps unsustainable.
Yeah, the cracks are showing early. Even in the next generation, they're inheriting a flawed system.
Okay, after the intensity of the sports festival, the students begin their first proper internships with pro heroes. This brings them face-to-face with the grim realities of hero work outside UA's walls. And this is where Tenya Ida's story takes a dark turn.
Right. Ida chooses an internship in Hosi City specifically to track down the hero killer. Stain, seeking revenge for his older brother Ingenium, who Stain critically injured.
He's going after Stain alone.
Initially, yes, it's incredibly reckless. Midoriya, who's interning nearby with All Might's old mentor, Gran Torino, gets caught up in it when Ida confronts Stain. Then Todoroki, who received Midoriya's location, also arrives. It leads to this desperate, brutal back-alley battle, 3 first-year students against a notorious killer.
And they manage to win somehow.
They do, by combining their skills in a really impressive way, though they all get injured. But Stain's impact doesn't end with his capture. In the aftermath, just moments before being fully apprehended, he breaks free briefly to save Midoriya from a rogue Nomu, and then delivers this chilling, incredibly passionate speech about the hypocrisy of modern hero society, calling out the fates.
And this gets broadcast.
Parts of it, or at least the core message, get out. His ideology, this radical critique of heroes motivated by fame and money, resonates powerfully with disillusioned individuals across the country. It actually inspires a new wave of villains, including key figures like Dabi and Himiko Toga, to seek out and join the League of Villains.
So Stain, even in defeat, fundamentally changes the landscape. He becomes a martyr or an inspiration for the villains.
Precisely. It raises that important question again. Was he truly just a villain, or a kind of misguided revolutionary exposing genuine systemic flaws? His impact was absolutely undeniable and largely negative in its consequences.
After the Hosu incident, the students returned to UA for their final practical exams before summer break. And the most notable one pits Midoriya and Bakugo together, forced to team up against All Might himself.
Yeah, talk about a final exam. This battle is incredibly intense, not just physically, but emotionally. It lays bare all the deep fractures in their relationship, the rivalry, the resentment, Bakugo's inferiority complex.
And we get more insight into Bakugo here.
We do. The chapter is actually titled Katsuki Bakugo, Origin. It delves into his profound feelings of inadequacy, especially in relation to Midoriya's rapid growth, and reveals his hidden guilt over feeling somehow responsible for All Might's weakening state for ending him.
That's heavy. How do they even pass?
Their strategy is completely dysfunctional, lots of shouting and fighting each other, but ultimately they succeed through a combination of Bakugo's relentless offense distracting All Might and Midoriya managing to grab Bakugo and escape through the exit gate. It forces Bakugo into this painful but necessary process of self-reflection.
And the arc concludes with something pretty chilling.
Yeah, a very ominous encounter. While shopping at the Kiyoshi Ward Mall with classmates, Midoriya is suddenly cornered by Tamura Shigaraki. They have this tense face-to-face conversation, not a fight, where Shigaraki basically tries to understand what drives heroes, what separates him from Midoriya. It's their first real meeting outside of combat, and it's deeply unsettling, a sign of the escalating conflict to come.
Okay, this feels like a good point to bring in our first major supplemental integration. The movie My Hero Academia. Two heroes. Tell us where this fits into the timeline. It feels like it slots in nicely after those exams.
It does, perfectly. The film is explicitly set during the summer vacation that begins right after the final exams arc we just discussed. All Might receives an invitation to visit Island, this technologically advanced, man-made moving island city, for a hero convention and research expo.
And he brings Midoriya along.
Yes, as his guest. There, they reunite with All Might's old friend from his time in America, Professor David Shield, and his brilliant Quirkless daughter, Melissa Shield.
Things don't stay peaceful for long, I assume.
Naturally not. Villains, led by a man named Wolfram seeking David's research, take over the island's security systems, holding the inhabitants hostage. Midoriya, along with several of his classmates who also happen to be on the island, Todoroki, Bakugo, Uraraka, Ida, Yaoyorozu, Jiro, and Kaminari have to bypass security and fight their way up the central tower to stop them.
A classic die-hard scenario, MHA style.
Pretty much. The climax features the spectacular double Detroit smash, where a severely weakened All Might, pushed beyond his limits, combines his remaining power with Midoriya's for one final massive punch to defeat the powered-up Wolfram.
And you mentioned a key canonical element from this film makes its way into the main story.
Exactly. This is where the integration is crystal clear. A crucial element introduced in Two Heroes is the full gauntlet. It's a support item created by Melissa Shield, specifically for Midoriya, after she observes his quirk breaking his arm. It allows him to use 100% of One For All's power several times without injury.
Ah, so that's where it comes from.
Yep. And later, in the manga, when Midoriya is commissioning new support gear from Mei Hatsume, the design and function of the full gauntlet are explicitly referenced. This firmly cements the film's events and Melissa's contribution within the primary timeline. It's a fantastic example of how these supplemental stories aren't just filler. They introduce crucial tech and character connections that genuinely ripple through the main narrative. Melissa's ingenuity directly helps Midoriya overcome a major limitation, even if just temporarily, in the film.
That's great context. Okay, so summer vacation starts with the trip to Island, but it takes an incredibly dark and pivotal turn soon after, during the forest training camp arc.
Yes, this is where things escalate dramatically again. Class 1A and 1B are at a remote training camp designed to push their quirks, overseen by the Wild Pussycats hero team. But the camp is ambushed by the League of Villains' newly formed Vanguard Action Squad, a group of dangerous villains including Dobby, Toga, Twice, Muscular, and others.
And they have a specific target this time.
Yeah, they do. Their primary mission is to abduct Katsuki Bakugo. The attack is brutal, chaotic, students are injured, Kota Izumi is saved by Midoriya in a devastating fight against Muscular that wrecks his arms again. And ultimately, despite the students' and heroes' efforts, Bakugo is captured.
This leads directly to the Camino incident, doesn't it? Arguably the single most pivotal moment in the entire saga.
Without a doubt. The pro-heroes, using intel gathered by Yaoyorozu planting a tracker, mount a raid on the League's known hideouts. Simultaneously, Midoriya, Todoroki, Kirishima, Yaoyorozu, and Ida launch their own risky, unsanctioned rescue mission, feeling responsible for Bakugo's capture.
Two rescue attempts converging.
Exactly. Both groups converge in the ruins of Camino Ward, where the villains have Bakugo. This leads to a devastating final confrontation. All Might versus his arch-nemesis, All For One, who reveals himself as the true mastermind behind the League.
The rematch. The final round.
The final round, indeed. Pushed far beyond his already dwindling limits, All Might burns through the very last embers of One For All stored within him. He defeats All For One with one final monumental attack, the United States of Smash.
An incredible moment, but the cost.
The cost is absolute. The attack incapacitates All for One, leading to his capture and imprisonment in the maximum security prison Tartarus, but it completely, utterly exhausts All Might's power. The last spark of One for All is gone.
And this is the moment that reverberates across the entire world, isn't it? The secret is out.
Absolutely. His muscular hero form dissolves, live on television, revealing his true, skeletal, injured form to a shocked world. The symbol of peace is revealed to be frail. With a pointed finger towards the camera, addressing the villains, but also the next generation, he delivers that final, resonant message. Next, it's your turn.
Chills. Every time.
It marks the official retirement of the symbol of peace, the definitive end of an era, and the public, symbolic passing of the torch to the future heroes, especially Midoriya, though the world doesn't know it yet. This battle reshapes the entire world and forces society to confront that terrifying question. Can we actually survive without our singular, unwavering symbol?
In the immediate aftermath of All Might's retirement and the Camino incident, hero society is deeply uneasy. Crime is rising, there's fear, and UA High makes a big change.
Right. To ensure student safety and, frankly, to manage PR after the camp attack and Bakugo's kidnapping, UA transitions into a boarding school system. They establish the Heights Alliance dormitories on campus.
Bringing the students closer, literally.
Yeah, living together 24/7. And the emotional fallout from Camino, especially Bakugo's kidnapping and rescue, comes to a head very quickly. This leads to the second major fight between Midoriya and Bakugo, often called Deku versus Kacchin 2.
Why do they fight again?
Because Bakugo, being incredibly sharp, has finally pieced together the truth. He understands the nature of Midoriya's quirk, its connection to All Might, and he feels immense guilt believing All Might lost his power saving him. He confronts Midoriya, demanding answers, and it erupts into this raw, cathartic fight on the same training ground where they first fought.
So it's not just anger this time, it's guilt and confusion.
A huge amount of guilt. This battle allows them to finally express years of pent-up frustration, resentment, and now this shared burden of guilt related to All Might. It's messy, emotional, and incredibly important for their relationship. Midoriya wins, technically, but that's not the point.
And after the fight,
All Might intervenes. Seeing the state they're in and understanding Bakugo now knows most of it anyway, All Might formally reveals the full secret of One for All, its history, its purpose, the connection to All for One to Bakugo. He entrusts him with this monumental knowledge.
wow. So Bakugo becomes a secret keeper alongside Midoriya and All Might.
Exactly. This fundamentally transforms their relationship. Their intense rivalry doesn't disappear, but it's now underpinned by a shared secret, a shared understanding of the stakes, and a kind of mutual responsibility to protect Midoriya and the legacy of OFA. Following this, the students participate in the Provisional Hero License Exam, a necessary step allowing them to legally use their quirks for hero work in emergencies, which is crucial in this new, more dangerous post-All Might world.
Okay, so with their provisional licenses, some students start engaging in more serious hero work through new work-study programs. Midoriya chooses to intern under All Might's former sidekick, Sir Night-Eye.
Right. Sir Night-Eye initially refused to accept Midoriya, still believing Mirio Tadata should have been the successor. Midoriya has to really prove himself.
And this internship quickly leads them into something dark.
Very dark. Midoriya has a chance encounter with Eri, a little girl with bandages on her arms, and Kai Chisaki, the young leader of the Shiha Saikai, a Yakuza organization. Midoriya and Mirio sense something is wrong, but Chisaki manages to take Eri back. Sir Night-Eye's agency is already investigating the Hasaikai, and they soon discover the horrifying truth.
Which is?
Chisaki, whose quirk is Overhaul, allowing him to disassemble and reassemble matter, is using Eri's blood. Her quirk is Rewind, capable of reverting living things to a previous state to manufacture quirk-erasing bullets. He plans to destroy the quirk-based society and restore the Yakuza to power.
Quirk-erasing bullets, that's terrifying.
It's a game changer. This whole arc, the Shi Hasaikai raid arc, marks a significant and intentional tonal shift for the series. It gets much darker, more morally complex, and has permanent tragic consequences.
Oh, so.
During the climactic raid on the Hasaikai compound involving numerous pro-heroes and the UA interns, Mirio Tagata, Lemillion, makes an incredible sacrifice. He shields Eri from a quirk-erasing bullet, losing his own permeation quirk permanently in the process.
Oh man, Mirio loses his quirk.
Permanently, yes. And Sir Night-Eye, All Might's former right-hand man, is fatally wounded in his battle against Chisaki. He dies shortly after, but not before seeing a future where Midoriya succeeds, reconciling slightly with his protege's choice.
Heavy losses. How does Midoriya defeat Overhaul?
In a desperate final confrontation, Midoriya realizes Eri's rewind quirk can counteract the damage OFA does to his body. By carrying Eri on his back, he synchronizes with her power, allowing him to unleash One for All at 100% continuously without instantly shattering himself, overwhelming and defeating Overhaul. It's an incredible feat, but born from sheer desperation and Eri's uncontrolled power.
This arc really highlights the immense cost of heroism, the trauma involved, and the horrifying potential for Quirks to be weaponized.
Absolutely. It leaves deep scars on everyone involved, especially Midoriya and Eri.
But there are some lighter, important character beats that follow, right? It's not all grim.
Thankfully, yes. Afterward, Bakugo and Todoroki, who actually failed the provisional license exam earlier due to their poor attitudes.
Wait, they failed?
They did, so they have to take this remedial course where their main task is trying to win over a group of unruly elementary school kids who distrust heroes. It's played for some comedy, but it's a subtle but important character beat, forcing them to learn about communication and empathy.
That sounds challenging for them.
Extremely. The arc concludes with the UA School Festival. Class 1A puts on a big rock concert, primarily for Eri, to try and bring some joy back into her life after her trauma. It's a much-needed moment of catharsis and relief.
Okay, that sounds like a good place to slot in the next movie. My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising. Where does this one fit?
This film is set during the winter, sometime after the Shi Hasaikai arc and the school festival. Class 1A is participating in a special safety program where they're temporarily assigned to run a hero agency on the remote, peaceful Naboo Island, acting as the island's sole heroes.
Giving them real-world experience.
Exactly. But their peace is shattered by the arrival of Nine, an incredibly powerful villain who possesses a modified, lesser version of All for One's quirk, apparently granted through experiments by All for One servant Dr. Garaki.
Another All for One connection.
Seems so. Nine's body is deteriorating due to holding multiple quirks, and he's come to Naboo Island seeking a child named Katsuma Shimano who possesses a specific cell activation quirk that Nine believes can heal him.
So the isolated Class 1A has to defend the island and the kids from this ridiculously powerful villain on their own.
Pretty much. All communication is cut off. They're completely isolated. The final battle pushes Midoriya to an absolutely impossible, unthinkable choice. To defeat Nine, who has absorbed more powers and seems unbeatable,
What does he do?
he transfers One for All to Bakugo.
He what? He gives it away?
Temporarily. This allows both of them to fight using One for All at 100% simultaneously.
Like-
This double OFA display is enough to finally overwhelm and defeat Nine.
But does Bakugo keep it? How does Midori get it back?
Miraculously, the quirk transfer seems incomplete or perhaps refuses to fully settle. All Might later theorizes it was a one-time miracle, that the vestiges of the previous OFA holders residing within the quirk refused to leave Midoriya entirely, perhaps sensing the fight wasn't truly over or that Bakugo wasn't meant to be the ninth. The power flares back within Midoriya shortly after the battle and Bakugo collapses, waking up with no memory of having wielded One for All.
Wow. A literal miracle exception. Is this movie confirmed canon too?
Yes. The existence of Nine and his specific abilities are later referenced briefly in Shigaraki's memories during the Paranormal Liberation War arc in the manga, explicitly confirming the film's events happened within the main timeline. And it raises that fascinating question again. What does it truly mean for a quirk, especially One for All, to have its own consciousness, its own will, to seemingly choose its holder even in moments of ultimate sacrifice?
Mind blown. Okay, so back in the main storyline, All Might is retired. The world needs new symbols, new pillars. Endeavor, despite his past, steps up as the #1 hero.
Yes, following All Might's retirement, Endeavor is officially named the #1 hero, with the young, incredibly fast Hawks becoming #2. Their public debut as the new top duo involves a brutal, high-profile battle against a highly intelligent Nomu designated high-end named Hood.
This is a big test for Endeavor.
It's huge. The battle is incredibly destructive, broadcast live. Endeavor is severely injured but ultimately victorious thanks partly to Hawk's support. It's a crucial first step in Endeavor's long, arduous journey to try and earn public trust and begin atoning for his abusive past, which is now becoming more widely known.
Meanwhile, back at UA, Midoriya's quirk starts to act. Very strangely during training. It's not just strength anymore.
No, it's not. During a joint training exercise between Class 1A and Class 1B, Midoriya's One for All suddenly goes berserk. Black, whip-like tendrils of energy erupt uncontrollably from his arm.
Black Whip.
Exactly. He's subdued by Hitoshi Shinso from Class 1B using his brainwashing quirk. Afterwards, Midoriya speaks with the vestiges of the previous OFA users within his subconsciouses, Think of it like a living archive or a mental meeting room inside the Quirk.
He can talk to the previous users.
Yes, or at least communicate with their stored consciousness. He learns that the energy was Black Whip, the Quirk belonging to the fifth user, Daigoro Banjo, and that One for All doesn't just stockpile raw power.
It stockpiled their Quirks, too.
Yes, it preserved the original Quirks of its previous users, except the first and possibly All Mights, who were Quirkless originally. And now, because Ofe has grown so powerful, Midori is beginning to manifest these additional Quirks. He now has to master not just OSA's power, but potentially 6 extra Quirks stored within it.
That completely changes the game. It adds immense layers of complexity and new challenges. He's not just super strength guy anymore.
Not even close, he's becoming a one-man arsenal. This reveal fundamentally alters our understanding of One for All and Midoriya's potential.
And this expansion of the world's threats, beyond Japan, takes us perfectly to the next film, My Hero Academia, World Heroes Mission.
Correct. This film unfolds during the period when Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki are doing their work-study internship under the now #1 hero, Endeavor. The threat is global this time. A doomsday cult called Humorize, led by the charismatic Fleckturn, believes that quirks are a disease that will lead to the quirk singularity and seeks to save humanity by eradicating them.
How do they plan to do that?
They threaten to detonate devices called trigger bombs all across the world. These bombs contain a gas that causes quirks to go lethally out of control. A global team of heroes, including students from UA participating in the World Hero Agency program, is assembled to find and disarm the bombs.
So Midoriya and the others are deployed internationally.
Yes. Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki are assigned to Endeavor's team in the fictional European nation of Otheon. While pursuing a suspect, Midoriya gets mixed up with a local petty thief named Rhodey Soul, and they're both framed for mass murder by Humorize. They're forced to go on the run together, trying to clear Midoriya's name and stop Fleckturn's plan.
On the run in a foreign country. High stakes.
Very high. The film brilliantly expands the series' scope, showcasing international heroes and locations and highlighting the global implications of quirk-based terrorism. It's a stark reminder that the threats the heroes face extend far beyond Japan's borders.
While the heroes are evolving, adapting, dealing with global threats, the villains are making their own incredible strides, aren't they?
Yeah.
Especially Tamura Shigaraki. He's not just sitting back.
Far from it. The narrative then takes a sharp, fascinating turn, shifting focus almost entirely to the villains in the Meta Liberation Army arc. This is a crucial turning point for Shigaraki and the League.
What happened?
The League of Villains, weakened and on the run after previous encounters, are challenged by the Meta Liberation Army, or MLA. This is a massive underground organization, over 100,000 strong, led by Rikiya Yotsubashi, aka Redestro, the CEO of a major lifestyle company. They believe in the total freedom of quirk usage, a form of quirk supremacy.
So villains fighting villains.
Essentially, yes, a clash of ideologies and power. The MLA pushes the League to their absolute limits in a massive battle engulfing an entire city. This intense conflict forces Shigaraki to confront his deeply repressed, traumatic past.
His origin story.
Yes, in chapters explicitly titled Tenko Shimura, origin, Tenko being his birth name, it's revealed through harrowing flashbacks that his decay quirk manifested uncontrollably and horrifically when he was just a child. It led to the accidental, gruesome murder of his entire family, his dog, his sister, his mother, his grandparents, and finally his abusive father. This trauma was then exploited by All for One, who found him wandering alone and groomed him.
Oh my God, that's unbelievably dark.
Yeah, it's brutal. But by finally embracing this horrific memory, by accepting the destruction he caused and his hatred, Shigaraki's decay quirk undergoes a terrifying evolution and awakening. He can now decay vast areas, entire city blocks without needing direct physical contact, and the decay spreads rapidly.
He becomes a walking catastrophe.
Pretty much. With this newfound power and resolve, he brutally defeats Redestro. But instead of just destroying the MLA, he absorbs them into the League, rebranding the combined force as the Paranormal Liberation Front, or PLF. He becomes the undisputed Grand Commander of the largest, most organized villainous force in the series' history.
What truly strikes me here is it's not just a villain getting stronger in terms of raw power, like leveling up. It's a villain finding his true purpose, his identity, and unlocking his full potential by embracing his trauma. It's such a dark, twisted mirror to Midoriya's own journey of inheriting power and purpose.
It absolutely is. It chillingly shows how entirely different paths, one built on hope and sacrifice, the other on despair and destruction, can lead to immense power and self-actualization for both good and terrifying evil. Shigaraki has finally become the symbol of fear all for one wanted him to be.
Okay, so all of these converging narratives, Midoriya mastering new corps, Endeavor trying to lead, Shigaraki consolidating this massive army, it all feels like it's building to something huge.
It is. It's building to the biggest, most destructive conflict in the series' history, the Paranormal Liberation War.
How does it kick off?
Acting on critical, detailed intelligence gathered over months by the undercover #2 hero, Hawks, who tragically had to kill the villain twice to maintain his cover and prevent catastrophe, the Hero Public Safety Commission launches a massive, coordinated surprise attack on the Paranormal Liberation Front's known strongholds. It's an all-out war, hitting multiple locations simultaneously.
A preemptive strike. Where's the main focus?
The main assault targets Jaku Hospital. This hospital is secretly a front for Dr. Kyudai Garaki's hidden laboratory, the same doctor who experimented on Nine and created the Nomu. And deep inside, Tamura Shigaraki is undergoing agonizing surgery to receive the original All-for-One quirk from his master, along with other modifications to make his body withstand it.
They're trying to stop him from becoming the next All-for-One.
Exactly. The heroes, led by Endeavor and including Midoriya and other students, manage to breach the lab and awaken Shigaraki prematurely, interrupting the procedure before it's 100% complete. But it's largely successful.
Yep.
An enraged, immensely powerful Shigaraki, now wielding a significant portion of All-for-One's power plus his evolved decay, unleashes a devastating wave of decay that obliterates a huge chunk of the city and kills numerous heroes instantly.
Just unimaginable destruction. The war erupts across multiple fronts then.
Oh yes. Brutal, high-stakes battles erupt everywhere. The heroes raid the PLF's Mountain Villa headquarters, led by Edshot and Cementos, facing off against Redestro and the MLA commanders. Casualties mount rapidly on both sides. We see pro-heroes like Midnight tragically killed in action while trying to protect the students.
But the most shocking moment, the one that truly breaks everything.
Yeah.
It involves Gabi, doesn't it?
It does. In the midst of the main battle against Shigaraki, Dabi takes center stage. He confronts Endeavor and Shoto, and in a pre-recorded message broadcast across the entire nation, reveals his true identity. She is Toya Todoroki, Endeavor's eldest son, long presumed dead after burning himself uncontrollably years ago.
He broadcasts it to everyone.
Yes, he gleefully exposes his family's entire history of abuse, Endeavor's obsession with surpassing All Might, his quirk marriage to Rei Himura, the brutal training, the neglect, how he drove his wife to a mental breakdown. It completely shatters public trust, not just in Endeavor, the #1 hero, but in the entire hero system he represents. It's a PR catastrophe of unimaginable scale, hitting the heroes when they're already reeling.
While this emotional bomb is going off, Midoriya is locked in combat with Shigaraki, right? And his quirk keeps evolving.
In the chaos and desperation of his fight against the monstrously empowered Shigaraki, Midoriya unlocks even more of the previous user's quirks stored within One for All. Float, Nana Shimura's quirk, Danger Sense, the 4th user's quirk, and Smokescreen, the 6th user's quirk. He's desperately trying to adapt, using everything he has.
And Bakugo gets involved.
In a critical moment, Bakugo pushes Midoriya out of the way of a lethal attack from Shigaraki, who is being partially controlled by All-for-One at this point, targeting OFA, and takes the hit himself. He sustains a near-fatal injury, impaled through the shoulder and torso.
Oh, God. Does he?
He survives, barely, thanks to quick intervention by Best Jeanist, who makes a surprise return. Ultimately, the heroes manage to subdue the core leadership of the PLF, including Shigaraki, who escapes but is severely weakened, Redestro, and others, but the cost is catastrophic.
What's the final tally?
Cities are in ruins, the hero ranks are decimated, with huge numbers dead or injured. Public faith in heroes has completely collapsed due to Dabi's revelations and the sheer destruction. And to make matters infinitely worse, All-for-One, orchestrating things from his prison cell in Tartarus using allies, engineers mass prison breaks. Not just from Tartarus, housing the worst villains, but multiple prisons. Countless dangerous villains are unleashed back into an already broken, chaotic society.
It's the breaking point.
It absolutely is. This war is the ultimate devastating consequence of all those cracks vigilantes exposed, the flaws All Might's era inadvertently papered over, the societal dependency on a single symbol, the unchecked systemic issues, the hidden darkness. It all converges and explodes here. The world, particularly Japan, is pushed completely past its breaking point. The hero society as they knew it is effectively over.
So in the war's absolutely devastating aftermath, Japan essentially devolves into this lawless, almost post-apocalyptic state. Heroes are overwhelmed, distrusted, or retired. Civilians are terrified, living in fortified shelters or refugee camps. It's grim.
Extremely grim. And in the midst of this collapse, Izuku Midoriya makes an agonizing decision. Believing correctly that All for One, now sharing control of Shigaraki's body, is targeting him specifically to steal One for All, he decides he's too dangerous to be around his friends and leaves UA High.
He gets us off on his own.
Yes. He begins the solitary crusade, hunting down the villains who escaped during the prison breaks, trying to gather information on All for One and Shigaraki while keeping his friends safe by staying away.
This is the dark hero arc, right? Looks terrifying.
He does. He becomes this grim, feared figure covered in dirt and grime, his costume ragged, constantly pushing his body, and his newly manifested quirks float, danger sense, smokescreen, black whip to their absolute limits. He barely sleeps or eats. He's aided remotely by All Might, who is driving around in a souped-up electric car, and the current top 3 heroes Endeavor, Hawks, and Best Jeanist feeding him intel. But he's isolating himself, carrying the burden alone.
But his friends won't let him do that. Class 1A.
They refuse to abandon him. Understanding the danger but believing he needs them, his classmates from 1A track him down. This leads to an incredibly emotional confrontation where they literally have to fight him using their own quirks and skills just to get him to stop running, to listen.
Him.
They do. Bakugo, Todoroki, Uraraka, Ida, they all challenge him, trying to break through his despair and self-imposed isolation. The climax comes when Ochako Uraraka delivers this incredibly heartfelt, passionate plea not just to Midoriya, but to the terrified civilians sheltering inside UA, who initially want to turn Midoriya away because he's a target.
What does she say?
She reminds everyone that heroes are human too, that they bleed, they suffer, and sometimes they need to be saved just like everyone else. She begs them to let Midoriya rest, to give him a place where he can finally recover.
And her words, they work.
They do. Her raw honesty and empathy break through the fear. The civilians relent, and Midoriya, utterly exhausted physically and emotionally, finally collapses into his friend's arms. He's brought back into the fold, back to UA. It's this pivotal moment of communal support, a testament to the bonds forged in Class 1A, finding hope in a world that had seemingly lost it all. It marks a turning point away from the lone vigilante idea and back towards collective action and mutual support.
A powerful moment.
Well,
So Midoriya is back, but the threat of All for One and Shigaraki is bigger than ever. As the heroes regroup and prepare for the final, inevitable confrontation, they get some unexpected, powerful help.
yes, international aid arrives in a big way, though tragically short-lived. America's #1 hero, Star and Stripe, whose real name is Kathleen Bate and who was inspired by All Might years ago, defies direct orders from her government and flies her squadron of jets to Japan to help stop Shigaraki All for One.
America's #1. She must be incredibly powerful.
Unbelievably so. Her quirk, New Order, is reality warping on a limited scale. She can impose a rule onto something, including herself or her opponent, by touching them and saying their name. She engages Shigaraki, whose consciousness is now terrifyingly merged and wrestling with All for Ones, in this colossal, sky-high battle.
Can she beat him?
She puts up an incredible fight and nearly wins, but All for One's cunning and Shigaraki's raw power are too much. Star and Stripe is ultimately killed. However, in her final moments, she uses New Order on One for All itself, or rather, the other quirks within Shigaraki that All for One had stolen over the centuries. She imposes a rule. Other quirks shall revolt against the user.
Whoa, what did that do?
It causes the multitude of stolen quirks within Shigaraki's body to start tearing him apart from the inside, rebelling against his control. It doesn't stop him completely, but it severely hinders his power, weakens him significantly, and buys the heroes precious time about a week to finalize their own plans for the final battle. Her sacrifice is immense and crucial.
In that brief interim, before the final battle truly kicks off, there's actually another movie that fits in, right?
Yeah.
My Hero Academia. You're next.
Correct. The 4th film slots into this very tense period of preparation after Star and Stripe's sacrifice, but before the heroes launch their final operation. Society is still collapsed. Heroes are gathering resources. Class 1A confronts a mysterious new villain calling himself Dark Might, who bears a striking resemblance to All Might. It deals with themes of legacy and the burden of symbols during this dark time.
Okay, so the heroes have bought some time. They're preparing. And then the final piece of the puzzle falls into place. The traitor.
Yes. The traitor who has been feeding information to All for One for years is finally revealed. It's Yuga Oyama, can't stop twinkling, from Class 1A.
Oyama. Why?
It turns out he was born quirkless, and his desperate parents made a deal with All for One years ago to give him his naval laser quirk. In return, Aoyama and his parents were blackmailed into acting as spies ever since he got into UA, feeding all-for-one information. He's been living in terror.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
How do his classmates react?
Amazingly, after the initial shock and betrayal led by Midoriya, they forgive him. They understand the pressure he was under. And crucially, they decide to use his connection, his forced communication line to all-for-one to set a final trap.
Turning the tables.
Exactly. The final war then officially begins. Using Kurogiri's Warp Gate quirk, after managing to briefly awaken the Oboro Shirakumo personality within him, the heroes execute a complex plan. They separate the main villains, all for one, Shigaraki, Dabi, Toga, and the PLF commanders, onto multiple custom-designed, isolated battlefields, many of them floating high above Japan, created using Yairozu's quirk and construction expertise.
Divide and conquer.
Precisely. The rest of the war unfolds as a series of climactic, personal, high-stakes duels happening simultaneously across these different arenas. We see Endeavor, Hawks, and other heroes battling All for One's original, heavily damaged body. We get the tragic final battle between Shoto Todoroki and his brother Dabi, a devastating clash of fire and ice and family trauma, where Araka confronts a heartbroken, rampaging Himiko Toga. Bakugo gets a rematch against Shigaraki, pushing his own quirk to new limits.
Before the final showdown.
Before the ultimate, definitive confrontation between Izuku Midoriya, now wielding multiple quirks, and Tamura Shigaraki, fused with All for One, representing the culmination of their respective legacies.
This is it, the combination of everything we've talked about. Every character arc, every hidden motivation, every power-up, every sacrifice. It all leads directly to these decisive, universe-shaping battles. It's just an incredible testament to long-form storytelling and meticulous character development across all these interconnected sources.
Absolutely. Everything comes together in this final, sprawling conflict.
So the final war eventually concludes. The dust settles. What does the aftermath look like? It can't just be back to normal.
Not even close. The aftermath marks not just the end of a massive conflict, but the true beginning of a long, difficult societal reconstruction. The world, particularly Japan, slowly begins to heal. The surviving heroes and students look toward building a genuinely new future, hopefully learning from the devastating lessons of the war and the collapse of the old system.
And we get concrete details on this future.
We do. The definitive details are provided in that final official data book we mentioned earlier, My Hero Academia Ultra Age. It serves as a comprehensive epilogue, giving us snapshots of where key characters end up and what the new era looks like.
And this databook reveals a profound shift in the very concept of heroism itself, right? It's not about finding the next All Might.
It absolutely does. That's maybe the most important takeaway. It reveals that the era of relying on a single, all-powerful symbol of peace has definitively ended. It's been replaced by a more resilient, more sustainable, community-focused system of heroism.
Why the shift?
Because All Might's era, defined by that single towering pillar, ultimately proved unsustainable. Its eventual collapse plunged society into chaos. The new generation's ultimate victory lies not in simply replacing that one pillar with another single individual, but in building a much broader, more robust, diverse foundation where many people contribute in many different ways. It's a fundamental redefinition.
So what does this new era look like for our beloved characters?
Right.
Where does Ultra Age tell us they end up?
It gives us some really satisfying glimpses. Toshinori Yagi, our former All Might, is fully retired from hero activities, obviously. He becomes the vice principal at UA High School, focusing on mentoring future generations, passing on wisdom, not punches.
And Midoriya.
Yeah.
Does he become the #1 hero?
Interestingly, not necessarily in the way we might expect. Izuku Midoriya, after fulfilling his destiny in the final battle, also returns to UA, but as a teacher. His final role isn't explicitly stated as being the top-ranked combat hero, but rather as a foundational guide for new students. He completes his journey from someone who received guidance to someone who provides it.
That feels
Yeah.
a different kind of strength. What about the rest of Class 1A?
We see many of them finding their paths. Tenya Ida takes over his family's hero agency, Idaten, and notably his brother Tensei, the original Ingenium crippled by Stain, actually returns to hero work alongside him, thanks to advanced support technology. It's a great full-circle moment.
That's fantastic. Others?
Shoto Todoroki becomes an immensely popular and clearly passionate pro-hero, having reconciled with his past and his power. Ochako Uraraka continues her hero work while also supporting her family's construction business financially, demonstrating that heroism can manifest as economic support and familial duty, fulfilling her original motivation.
It's not just about fighting villains.
Exactly. We see other members finding unique paths, too. Kyoka Jiro pursues her passion for music alongside her hero work. Tsuyu Asui opens her own independent hero agency. It highlights a future where heroism is truly multifaceted, not monolithic.
Any word on the global stage? Or other connections?
Yes, Ultra Age mentions America's new #1 hero is someone named Agate Manu, who has a geological quirk called fault line, indicating the world beyond Japan remains active and powerful. And in a final nice touch of integration, it confirms that Melissa Shield from Island collaborates with UA's support course genius Mei Hatsum to design Midoriya's final, most advanced hero costume, officially integrating her scientific contributions right to the very end.
Wow. This really is the ultimate aha moment, isn't it? The story begins with a world desperately searching for and then relying on a singular, all-powerful savior figure. And it ultimately concludes with a world that has learned, through immense suffering, to save itself. Through community, through education, through diverse forms of service and heroism.
That's the core message, I think.
It's such a powerful statement. The final, hopefully more stable, heroic age is secured not by one person's overwhelming power, but by the collective effort of a society that has learned anyone can be a hero in their own unique, valuable way. It's a truly beautiful, hopeful evolution after all the darkness.
Couldn't agree more. It's about collective resilience.
So, wrapping this all up, what does this massive journey mean for us? We've traced the incredible, sprawling saga of My Hero Academia. We've seen how its creators masterfully, meticulously wove together the manga, the films, the prequels, the databooks into one incredibly rich, coherent, and ultimately deeply satisfying history.
It really is a masterclass in building a shared universe across media.
From that very first quirk, that single glowing baby in China, all the way through the rise and fall of symbols, the devastating wars, to the final defeat of evil and the painstaking rebuilding of society. Every single piece plays a vital, interconnected role. The brilliance of this universe lies not just in its, explosive action or its compelling characters.
And it has plenty of both.
Right, but also in its meticulous world building and its profound, evolving message about what heroism actually means.
And this deep dive, tracing how this carefully constructed fictional history unfolds, maybe leaves us with an important thought for you, the listener. If this fictional society, after immense struggle, can move beyond the need for a single symbol of peace, if it can learn to embrace a more diverse, community-focused, and ultimately more sustainable approach to heroism, what might that teach us about how our own communities can face the grand, complex challenges we encounter?
That's a deep question.
How can we all, contribute to a more resilient, collectively heroic future in our own worlds? Maybe by recognizing and valuing the diverse strengths, the different forms of service and contribution within our own communities, rather than just looking for one single leader or solution.
That's definitely something to think about, how we build resilience together. Thank you for joining us on this truly epic deep dive into the world, the entire world, it feels like, of My Hero Academia.
It was a pleasure digging through it all.
We really hope this exploration has given you a newfound appreciation for this incredible saga and the intricate thought that went into building it piece by piece. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep being curious.